Good morning, if this is still morning. My name is François Dejean. I work at the European Environment Agency, and we are an EU organization, but we are based in Copenhagen. But we're covering all Europe, and we are your main information provider about any environmental trend that occurs in the European Union and beyond the European Union, the geographical definition of Europe. So we have been operating for about 15 years in Copenhagen, and our mission is really to deliver to the public, the policymakers, the journalists as well, the independent information they need to have in order to write the right articles, to take the right decisions, to do the right policy making on environmental issues. So we provide data, we provide analysis, we provide assessments, and we have a wealth of information available on our website. And you can already write it down, eea.europa.eu. We cover not only climate change issues, but all environmental issues, water, air pollution, climate change, waste, sustainable consumption, production, etc. We try to build a bridge between the science and the policy. So we are between the scientists, the IPCC, and the European Commission, for example, who needs the information delivered in an understandable format so that they can take the right decisions. And we draw this information from our network, which is a network of member states, a network of scientific research institutes, and we have contacts in all our member countries. And this to support the policy processes and inform the public. Again, our mandate is to provide European decision makers and citizens with the access to timely and relevant information. So we strive really to get the latest information available. And our website is also updated every day to get the latest information available ready for you. We also answer questions from students, questions from journalists, questions from the general public, and questions from all our different clients. Who are our clients? The European Commission, the Parliament, parliamentarians, the European Council, so the policy-making bodies, our member countries, and also people more like you, policy influencers, NGOs, bloggers, journalists, media, advisory groups, scientists, researchers, and the general public as well. I mentioned our member countries. I said we go beyond the strict definition of the European Union. Our member countries are the whole 27 members of the European Union, but we also have membership from Turkey, Norway, Iceland, Switzerland, and Liechtenstein, who are not part of the European Union. So for us, the environment is not only a policy issue, you have to take the environmental issues where they are. So this is more a geographical acceptance of environmental issues. What are we doing on climate change? Maybe I will go directly to the point. What is our involvement? What is our role when it comes to climate change? We work on both main aspects of climate change. We work on the impacts of climate change, and so this is what is represented on the graph here. We try to analyze, to collect information about the impacts of climate change in Europe. And climate change, as you know, is occurring in every part of the world, in particular in Europe. And so we really look very closely at what does that mean for a European to experience climate change. For example, increasing temperatures, and this is what is also a projected trend in the future. In Southern Europe, temperatures will be higher. In Northern Europe, we'll have more rain, probably. We have, in Western Europe, more winter rainfalls, higher sea levels, and we have similar patterns in Eastern Europe, more winter rainfalls, more floods, but maybe also less summer rainfalls, more droughts, etc. So we really aim to cover the different impacts, the type of impacts of climate change, and then try to see what the governments, the countries are doing about this, and what are the adaptation measures taken to prevent the risk posed by increasing climate change. Our analysis, you can find it in reports, and so we have published last year a very comprehensive report about the impacts of climate change in Europe, and I would refer to you. This was actually a collaboration with the Joint Research Center from the European Commission and also the World Health Organization in Europe. Just last week, we published a new report on the climate change impacts in the Alps. So looking more closely at the mountains areas, which are much more vulnerable than other areas, especially in Europe. And so there, again, we describe what has already been occurring, glacier melting, ice, snow melting, impacts on the ecosystems, and what can we expect in the future, and also what the responses are and what are the needed responses for those to deal with those climate change impacts. So a big part of our activity relates to the impacts and the adaptation to climate change. But we have also another part of our activity, which is to try to follow what is occurring in terms of greenhouse gas emissions. These are the effects, the impacts of climate change. What about the causes of climate change, the greenhouse gas emissions? And there we relate to the UNFCCC and the Kyoto Protocol. Is the European Union going to live up to its engagement to reduce its emissions under the Kyoto Protocol? So to do this, we collect all the information about the greenhouse gas emissions in all the European countries. We compile this information to give you a broad overview, an overall picture of greenhouse gas emission trends in Europe. And we have been doing this for now a couple of years, number of years. So we have now good indications on why these trends that we observe are occurring. If we look at the red line is the EU as it was when it ratified the Kyoto Protocol. So there were at that point in time only 15 member states. And there the EU committed to reduce its greenhouse gas emissions by 8% below 1990 levels. Overall, so we can see that there has been a decrease, and this decrease has been experienced in particular in the last 3 years. And here you have only data until 2007. I should also mention that 3 weeks ago, we published preliminary data for 2008. And there we can see that the decreasing trend is continuing. So EU emissions are decreasing, and that puts the EU in a good position to meet its Kyoto commitment. Now, if we look at long-term perspective, 2020, there you have, forget about the EU 15, focus on the EU 27, the European Union as it is now today, 27 member states. And there we have a slightly different emission trends, because you have to take into account the member states that joined the EU in 2004. And there, today, we are about 9% below 1990 levels. So we are, in a way, we are halfway through delivering the 2020 commitment of minus 20%. So